welcome to another live motivational video. My name is Brandon, and I'm here to inspire, encourage, and uplift you with another motivational video. And today I want to talk about relationships. I've been talking a lot about relationships because I've been working very diligently on my brand new course, Tuning into Love, how to restore broken relationships and create amazing new ones. And so today I wanted to specifically talk to you all about 3 ways you begin to improving your relationships immediately in your life. Now, if you are watching on Facebook, that is amazing. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube because there's some videos that are on YouTube that you can't see on our Facebook group. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you join the private Facebook group where you can actually ask me questions whenever you want. It's called Born to Slay. And let's get right into it. So what are the 3 key things you can begin to do right now to improve your relationships? It doesn't matter. These work for work relationships. This works for relationships with family members. This works with relationships with your students if you're a teacher. This works with relationships with your boss. It doesn't matter what the relationship is. These are 3 very easy things that you can do that you can begin right now, today, at this very moment. Start improving your relationships. And the first one is pretty self-explanatory, but assume positive intent. So many times when we witness somebody say something to us or do something around us, we assume sometimes negative intent. And oftentimes we do not know what the motivation is that someone is acting or saying or doing something. So if you start to see everybody and basically through the eyes of love that they are doing something intentionally to uplift you or help you, it will completely transform your relationship. So for example, let's say that you ask your significant other, like, how do you look before you're going out? And they go, I wouldn't wear that tie, or I would wear a different dress, or I would wear a different belt, or whatever it is. Well, you just ask them to give you their honest opinion. And if you automatically assume negative intent, oh, well, they don't like the way I'm dressed, that means I'm ugly, or that I'm not a very good dresser, okay, now you're creating conflict when there doesn't need to be any conflict created. If you assume positive intent, then you know that their intention is to actually help you look your best, boo, which is a good thing, right? So assuming positive intent is always really, really important. And so much of relationships boils down to communication. And we assume that people are doing certain things because we think we know them. We think we understand why they're doing them. But if we actually stopped and asked them, why did you do this? What was the reasoning behind this? It could change everything. I'll give you guys a really personal example that happened just yesterday with me and my husband. So I love my husband. He is always working on his health and his fitness and everything else. And I had FedEx deliver this huge box yesterday. I mean, this box was mammoth that FedEx delivered yesterday. And it had all these huge labels on the side, and it said, perishable, must store immediately. And I was like, what is this? And even the FedEx guy said something really strange. He goes, I'm so glad you were home to receive this. This is really important, perfect timing. And I'm like, what is this? So I looked, and I had my husband's name on it. So I call my husband. I'm like, what did you order? What is this? And he goes, oh, I'm doing a 7-day juice cleanse, a 7-day juice detox. And old me would have said, well, gee, like, okay, I guess, I'm doing this together and I have to do this with you. Or I could have made all sorts of crazy assumptions about this. Instead, I just asked him, I said, okay, so why did you decide to do this? And what is your plan for dinner the next week when you do this juice cleanse? Like, what is your thought process on there? Instead of saying, oh, you didn't think about me. You didn't think about how the dinner would impact me. You didn't take me into account, all these things, right, that could have created conflict. Instead, it was just open conversation like, hey, so what do you want me to do for dinner next week? Do you want me just to kind of do my own thing, or what was your plan? What was your idea? And, part of it is you have to be supportive of the other person and the reason why they're doing what they're doing, because everybody has a reason why, but you think you know the reason why and you don't always know the reason why. So assume positive intent. The second thing that you have to do to start improving relationships immediately is stop judgment. And judgment is really one of the biggest pitfalls in relationships, is judging other people. Whether you judge your spouse for their weight, or you judge them for how they treat people, whether you judge them for their work ethic, when you're judging your boss for how they talk to you or respond to you, when you're judging your friends and family members for their religious views or their political views, anytime you assign judgment to somebody, you are not seeing them through the eyes of love. You can disagree with their point of view. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing with a point of view. But when you say, I despise you, or I resent you, or you're an evil person, or you're horrible, or you're awful because of that view, you're not seeing them through the eyes of love. And you're actually missing an opportunity to ask them, why do you see the world that way? Why is that your political view? Why is that your religious view? You have complete freedom and choice of how you interact with your family members, how you perceive your family members, your significant other, how you perceive your students if you're a teacher, how you perceive your boss or coworkers. You have complete freedom and free will and choice. And you can always choose to see them through the eyes of love. But so many people would rather judge other people. But here's the thing. Any judgment you have against somebody else always comes back to you and judging yourself. If you judge someone else for and say that they're a bad person or they're a horrible person for that viewpoint or whatever, there will be judgment cast back on you. Because here's the thing. God in the universe will always see you through the eyes of love, your best possible potential and self. And so if you want to have amazing relationships, you need to stop judging people and start to seeing them through the eyes of love. For the longest time period, I judged my mom, I judged my dad for their religious views, for them believing that I was going to hell for being gay. I judged them for how they treated me. I judged them for them sitting me down and reading Bible verses, saying I was going to hell. I judged old bosses for not valuing me enough, for not paying me enough. And what I came to realize is the reason I was judging all those things about them is because I was in agreement with what they were doing and I believed it about myself. And many of you guys are hearing this for the first time, but if I didn't believe what my parents said, it would not have had the power over me to hurt me. If I didn't believe, that my boss was underpaying me and I was fine with it, if I didn't believe they didn't value me, okay, and I believed in my value and I believed in my pay and I believed who I was as being a gay person, none of those people would have power over me. But that judgment was actually me judging myself. That was actually me saying that I wasn't worthy to be loved, or I wasn't worthy to be valuable. I wasn't worthy of that pay. Because when you start to see yourself and you handle the inner conflict of yourself and you understand your value, understand your worth, those perceptions of everybody around you either will not affect you anymore, and the perception of the world around you will change to reflect how you view and feel about yourself. It's why friendships drop away. It's why you might not hear from family members for a while, right? Only their best selves can show up. And then the third thing is, and this was critical in the beginning rebuilding of my relationship with my mother and my very slow relationship rebuilding of my father, and this goes with anything, is what you want to experience in your relationships, you need to give it first. So if you want to experience more grace in your relationship, give more grace. If you want people to forgive you for your shortcomings, be more forgiving of them and their shortcomings. If you want your husband or spouse to be more appreciative of you, be more appreciative of them. If you want your students to respect you more in the classroom, respect your students more. If you want your boss to value your service more, provide more value to them. You know, one of the things that people talk about that they want money is an exchange of value. The more value you provide, the better service you provide, the more value, the more money you're going to receive. In a relationship, if you want to build a stronger relationship, provide more value to that relationship. That means being more loving. That means being more giving. That means being more understanding. That means being more grateful, and all those things. When you start to do that, your relationships will change seemingly overnight, and you'll be like, why haven't I done this before? And it's because you're so focused on yourself and your own feelings, which is great because that's a starting point, right? But when you realize is that you don't need the validation from your significant other to be whole or to be loved, and you're just loved because you're you, that means your cup is full and you can give freely. And I will tell you this, when you attach yourself to expectations in relationships, that also is not good. If you say, well, I'm going to clean the dishes, but I'm only going to clean the dishes because I expect my husband or my wife to go and clean the bathroom. Now you're setting yourself up for disappointment and failure because you're not giving to give, you're giving to get. And there's the law of cause and effect. And if you're giving to get, you're not really giving to give. And so you have to detach yourself from the expectation or the outcome of, I'm doing this to get this back. When you truly love somebody, you're just going to naturally appreciate them. You're going to naturally give to them. You're going to naturally do things that are supportive of them because you just love them. That's what love is. Love is true, boiled down. Love is unconditional. You know, that's how I transformed my classroom, my first year as an 8th grade middle school teacher into my second year as a middle school 8th grade teacher. I released all attachments and outcomes and expectations for my students. I told myself, I said, I have 2 goals this year and I'm going to keep it really simple. One is I'm going to love my students more than they've ever been loved before, so they can't practically stand it because these were 8th graders. And I said, the second thing is we're going to have the best kick-ass FSA scores. And they were over 9% over the previous year. And the first year, when I was resentful and spiteful of being in the classroom because I had been laid off and that I didn't think my students appreciated them, and so I didn't respect them, and it was my way or the highway, it was not really at love. I mean, I wanted them just to be successful, right? But I had resentment and I had spite and I had all these lower vibrations, which they could feel. And I got death threats. But then the second year, when I made that conscious decision, I got so many letters of appreciation. I had cookies. I had Christmas gifts. I had birthday gifts. I had all the things. But it was the conscious decision that I made, which is I'm going to create a classroom of love and positivity. And that was a deliberate decision on my part. And it wasn't a specific expectation of if I do this, my students are going to give me this. It was just, I just want them to feel love in the classroom. So any relationship that you have, if you want to start to see real growth, if you want to see real improvement, stop judging. Always assume positive intent, because when you assume positive intent, you're more likely to just want to give them the things that are going to make them feel loved. You're going to be more willing to do the things that show appreciation. And look, appreciation doesn't have to be this big outlandish thing. Doing acts of love doesn't have to be this huge grand gesture of like a candlelight dinner, homemade cooked meal with candles and roses and all. It can be that, But I mean, my husband, I love to death. Sometimes he has the simplest gestures. Like, look, this is a little note that my husband left me. And it might have taken him like literally 30 seconds to write this before he left for work. But it doesn't matter because that is appreciation and that is love. Little notes, little things, little texts go a long way. And the thing is if that becomes a habit, then you're creating a habit of how to build those relationships, a habit to build those relationships. And that is really what it is. If you want to experience amazing relationships, what kind of habits do you have in your relationships? Do you have habits of gratitude? Do you focus on what you love or do you focus on what you don't love? Do you see the best in the people that you surround yourself with? And here's the other thing. I love Joe Dispenza is a great thought leader. He's a scientist, a doctor, really big into the science of meditation. And one of the things that he does in his workshops, he says, okay, I want you guys to make a list of all the qualities you want in the perfect partner, every single quality you want. And then he says, okay, become that person, and then you'll attract that person. And that's really what it is you can't control other people. You can't change other people. But if you want to attract those kinds of people into your life, you got to start with yourself. Like always attracts like. And so there's my 3 things for today. If you guys haven't already, you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe for more amazing videos like this. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you check out that YouTube channel. And make sure you guys haven't already, check out the 7-Day Relationship Challenge. If you thought this was good, wait till you try that 7-Day Relationship Challenge. It's 7 days that will transform your relationships. And I'm telling you all right now that this course that is being unveiled very shortly, Tuning Into Love, is 8 weeks. And it will be life-changing. It will be life-changing. I will be sharing so many things about forgiveness, how to forgive and heal past trauma, past hurts in relationships. I'm going to be talking about how trauma is actually inherited and passed down 3 generations. There's an amazing book called It Didn't Start With You, which is about how emotional trauma experienced by your parents and grandparents can actually be relived by you and passed down genetically. And it can actually be holding you back to achieving your highest potential in life, which is crazy to think about. And the science is mind-boggling. The science that is coming out that verifies this information is crazy. But I'm so excited to serve you all in any way that I can. Check out my other digital courses too. And I hope you all have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. And I'll see you all later. Thank you all for watching. Bye.